I've never had sex with a spider. Have you?
No, I never had sex with
Okay. I hated the first scene. The very first scene of this movie. I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be one of those things.
Yeah. Apparently, if you don't drink boba, you're not Asian. So go kill yourself if you don't drink boba. And not be Asian. Don't actually do that.
Hello, everybody.
Just, kick us off.
Can I start, Tavi?
No, you can't start. You can never start.
I'm starting. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, music, food, video games, whatever we're feeling at the time. Really, my name is Dan with H. With me, as always, is my co-host Tavi. Hey, Tavi.
Hello, Dan.
What up?
Got a little bit of a kind of a new thing today. If some of our more what's the equivalent of eagle-eyed for ears? Ears of a fox.
Bat-eared.
Bat-eared. For some of our bat-eared listeners, my voice might sound a little bit different because I've up and gone and Joe Rogan'd on myself and bought a Shure SM7B.
Yeah.
So much to Risky's delight, as he will have to audio check this episode, even though he hasn't come over and babysat me whether my levels are correct or not. But it's we're stepping up our production, Dan.
Yep.
We're heading there.
You're living our collective dream of slowly becoming Joe Rogan himself.
Yes, we will soon be making bonobo sounds into the mic, which I'm not going to do because I was doing it before and it hurt my throat.
You're not Joe Rogan yet, Tavi. You got to take it easy first. You got to build up to the bonobo sounds.
Yeah, I'll build up to the bonobo sounds. But I'm just listening to myself, and I'm actually just enjoying listening to myself. So it's pretty,
Yeah, you sound good to me.
Very much a vanity.
But we are going to talk about Joyride today, right?
Yes.
So Joyride is the Asian-led road trip comedy movie.
Yeah, road trip sex comedy, I guess is what you call these movies. Yeah.
It's just hit. Directed by Adele Lim.
Adele
Kazim. That's a callback.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazim.
Yeah. But yeah, one of your favorite directors, right, Tavi?
Yeah, for sure. One of my most anticipated movies of the year from my most favorite screenwriter. But
before we get into that, shall we do our recurring segment? What have we been watching?
Yeah, cue the music. Woo! Oh my god! I can't wait. Oh, there we go. That's my bonobo impersonation. Whether you want to keep that in or not. What have you been watching? Do you want to go first for a change?
Yeah, sure. I recently went to see Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the musical, in the Capitol Theatre in Sydney.
Something a little bit different, yeah. Musical, yeah.
Yes,
nice.
live.
How was it?
Musical theatre. It was a good time, man. I haven't been to a musical for a minute, and I have never set foot in the Capitol Theatre before. Very nice theatre. Kind of one of those old timey Victorian views, so very fancy feeling. Yeah, I mean, it was school holiday time, so pretty packed out theatre, lots of families. And I went with my partner, and we did the live musical theatre thing. We got some wine, had a cheese board. We tried to make a nice event out of it. Have you seen Beauty and the Beast before?
I've seen the original Disney one. Yeah, no, I mean I liked it when I was a kid.
Okay.
I think it's okay. I like the memes that came from Maurice with the rape sticks back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, I think it's a good story, and I think some people do like it, but it's just more like I don't really revisit it that often. Kind of not really my cup of tea these days. But it definitely was one of Disney's best back in the day. Not as good as Lion King, but I don't mind the story. It's quite a nice story. It's it's a good kids story, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely in my top 5 of that era, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I've watched it many times, so I know it pretty well.
Okay.
The songs and the story and the imagery quite well. But yeah, I think the musical elevates it. They add a bit of stuff. They add a couple extra songs in there, and just the kind of like the production of a musical. With all the dance numbers and stuff, like it's just a different kind of experience than what you would get from the animated movie. Yeah, just seeing how all of the like dancers are kind of working together, the beauty of like the dance choreography, and of course the live music.
I think most listeners know that I'm not the biggest musical fan of genre, but on saying that, I would actually like to go see a musical someday because I've never been to a musical. So it's definitely a different experience when you are. I'd imagine it'd be a huge difference when you're watching like this live performance, with people doing choreographed dances on stage, people singing live. It's like it's a different. I would concede that it would be a different experience that I would probably enjoy.
And I just enjoy like seeing how they kind of navigate the differences in mediums, I guess. Because in the animated movie, they've got things like, they've got animals in there. Like they've got wolves running through the forest, and they got like Maurice is riding a horse-ridden carriage, Oh no, he's actually on horseback, I think, in the movie.
Oh, slow down, Maurice.
Yeah. So the way they navigate, like obviously they can't have those kinds of things in this kind of production in a musical, so they have to kind of work their way around it. And I think it was quite creative how they did. Just using lighting tricks and reconfiguring the story as they need to. And even like the beast transformations and things like that, they looked really good.
Yeah. It's definitely like, even if I don't particularly like a story per se, I think I would still probably enjoy it like in that kind of live performance because you're kind of with a lot of other like-minded people as well. So yeah, I mean, like, if I ever have the money to not splurge on SM7Bs, I may or may not go to see like a musical at some point.
Yeah,
but I'm all about upping our podcast game, Dan. So gotta make the sacrifice.
Not this guy. I'm all about watching throwaway musicals. No, but it was a good time, and like you said, it is the crowd plays a big role in that, and I do feel like there's just watching it with all these other people that are there that have a good time. Like I remember during intermission, I went to the bathroom. And I was taking a slash, and then like a father and son came in and like started peeing next to each other, kind of thing. And like the dad was like this guy, like big Aussie bloke with a big bushy beard, and he says to his son, "Well, what'd you think of the show, mate? Pretty good, right?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I'm really loving this vibe, guys. Really loving it." Just a dad and his son just going to the theater and having a good time.
Yeah, not like the time when I went to see Baby Metal and
oh yeah, that dad was not having a good time.
I'm not sure if I talked about it in that episode, but yeah, when I was going to Baby Metal, one of the dad's like young daughter needed to use the bathroom and she didn't want to go alone, so he was like looking for like an empty stall in the men's cubicle, which I was occupying one, and I wasn't going to give it up because I needed to go. So he's like, oh fuck, all right. He's like, can't you go by yourself with the girls? And like, I could just hear like a little bit of like crying or like in the background. So she wouldn't go, and then like, I think he eventually goes to help her in the to enter the women's, but unfortunately, it was too late, and I saw this girl just crying, and this dad just going, "Oh fuck!" Just like this really Aussie guy, like, "Oh fucking hell, fuck!" And then like there was like this other passerby like, hey man, like, do you want to use the like he was like, oh nah, it's all right. It's like, and this other guy, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. The guy's like, nah, it's not your fault, mate. It's not your fault. And it's just like, we just gotta sit for the next fuck. Just could not.
It's hard being a dad, though.
It's hard being a dad.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they had just as good a time at Baby Metal with soiled pants. But,
hopefully their night improved from there. It's got to have improved from there. You can't really get much worse than that.
You can't.
But yeah, what have you been watching, Tavi?
Yeah, so I was on a bit of a Richard Linklater spree because a mate of mine, he had tickets to go see Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. Mm-hmm. So it's the first two in the Before trilogy. Yeah, no, they're very good films. Very hit you in the feels, especially when you kind of get to that age. That kind of fatalist, but also like young love, then kind of meeting reality at some point and losing love and whatnot. I haven't seen the third one yet, but
Before Midnight.
Before Midnight. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's the hardest hitting one. So I'm waiting for the moments. I'm kind of like waiting to be in the mood to watch that one. But I talked about Richard Linklater because my mate was telling me about this film on Netflix that came out last year in 2022 called Apollo 10 and a half. And it's like a rotoscoped animation, and it's just about this like kid who is recruited by NASA to pilot one of the Apollos before the moon landing, the Buzz Aldrin one, whichever number that was, I don't remember. But because they built the shuttle too small. But it's just kind of like this really, really nice nostalgic trip about growing up in the 60s. Yeah, it's a really good film. Like 2022, man, was like a really good year of movie. It would almost have been like, if I had seen it probably would have made it like as my favorite animated movie of last year, which I don't remember what I'm doing at the moment.
I feel like we were having a harder time picking like our favorite movie as opposed to our least favorite movie. Like there were many more good movies to choose from than bad movies, I think, last year.
Yeah. I think
listen to that episode if you want to. I'll link it.
Yeah. Well, we're about halfway through this year now. What do you think about this year so far? Just out of
I think
curiosity.
it's been pretty good. I think. I mean, like aside from the movie we're going to talk about today, but a
little bit of foreshadowing. I see. A little bit of foreshadowing. Yes.
I can't think of a bad movie that I've watched coming from this year.
Yeah, actually, me too. I'm pretty sure I've seen one. I haven't seen Fast X yet, even though we're talking.
Oh yeah. But, okay. Yeah.
I haven't seen Transformers yet either.
Yeah. Maybe we just don't watch those movies anymore.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen some bad ones. I just can't think of them. But this year's been okay. I think.
But it's been a year of commercial bombs though, like
The Flash, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I think Transformers was a bomb.
Yeah, probably.
As well.
Yeah.
But I specifically bring up Apollo 10 and a half, which I will might mention throughout this episode.
Okay.
We as you've mentioned, Joyride is the topic, the movie, the movie, the quintessential all Asians must see this movie, otherwise suffer a cruel execution. From
you are racist against your own race if you're an Asian that hasn't watched this movie. It's the equivalent of not liking boba.
Yes, which is talked about in this movie because apparently if you don't drink boba, you're not Asian. So go kill yourself if you don't drink boba. And not Asian. Don't actually do that.
Have we finished talking about Apollo 10 and a half already? Or are we getting the Joyride now?
No, let's get into Joyride.
Okay, all right. But you would recommend Apollo 10 and a half, just to reiterate.
Oh, definitely. Go
Is
watch
it better
Apollo
than
10.
A Scanner Darkly? Another rotoscope animated
it
film
is actually. Yeah. Okay. A Scanner Darkly, I'm not sure if I liked very much. It was very confusing from when I first watched it.
It's a trip.
I would watch. I think he did another one before A Scanner Darkly. I think it's called Waking Life, and it's like a It's more like a documentary about like lucid dreaming, and yeah, that one's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Richard Linklater is like, I know I said we'd go into Joyride, but you can edit that bit out. But like, I mean, Richard Linklater, I wouldn't say he's underrated. Like, he's definitely loved in cinema amongst film goers, but it's also like maybe not as name dropped as say like Francis Ford Coppola or Scorsese,
Sure.
or even like a Brian De Palma. But yeah, he's got an interesting style that I can't quite pinpoint. But like you see his themes. Like I'm always shocked that he's like done School of Rock, but it's also like, oh yeah, that makes sense as well. If you think about it, you know.
That's true actually.
There's definitely a clear like music motifs. Like he really loves like the 70s, 80s rock and roll. Like School of Rock is all about, you know, an honor to that. And an Apollo 10.5, which has like one of the best like film soundtracks, you know, I've ever heard. And it's just like an ode to like the late 60s. And I actually listen to it quite often when I'm driving. It's just very cool. And yeah, there's always a lot about like dreams and like reality. And you kind of see it in Apollo 10.5, which I don't really want to give away too much, even though that probably is giving it away. But like, it's really quite subtle. And I think it's one of the best depictions of a family film. And like, much better than the overrated Fabelmans, which I'm going to say again. I didn't really talk about that movie last year, but yeah, a movie that the more and more I think about it, the more that maybe Steven Spielberg can't really tell that kind of story, which is, I guess I'm wrong. Actually, no, that movie bombed, so not a lot of people saw it either. So maybe I'm right or wrong, but people seem to like that movie.
I don't think it bombed because people didn't like it. I think it bombed because...
Yeah, I think it's just people didn't want to watch it.
Because movies aren't back yet. As much as Tom Cruise says they are, they're not quite back yet.
Yeah, not yet. But I don't know. Oppenheimer, Barbie, gotta save cinema.
Yep. Gonna save Mattel at least.
Okay, let's talk about this movie that we're trying to avoid talking about.
Joyride.
Joyride. You want to give a little plot?
Yeah, I'll give a little plot. Audrey, played by Ashley Park, is a young lady of Chinese ancestry adopted into a white American family. She grows up in middle American suburbia with best friend Lolo, played by Sherry Cola. Audrey is tasked by her work to travel to China to secure some kind of account from potential Chinese business associates. It's pretty vague, but she's a lawyer, right? These are people that they want to work with. And she's going to China to secure an account because she lies to her work and says she can speak Chinese. Her friend Lolo tags along as her translator, along with her awkward cousin Deadeye, played by Sabrina Wu.
Yeah. Who's another comedian, according to this wiki.
Yeah, I can see that. They also meet up with Kat, who is Audrey's successful actress friend from college, played by Stephanie Hsu of Everything Everywhere All at Once fame.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So and then antics ensue. It's basically a
antics ensue. Yeah.
It's basically a road trip sex comedy about a bunch of Asian Americans that go to China, right? And a couple other Asian places.
Yeah, I think the main story is just about like Ashley Park's character who is trying to find her birth mother. I mean, it's a Adele Lim script, so it's all about like trying to find your roots and a lot of really like
it's all about identity,
Asian references.
Asian identity. What kind of Asian are you? Are you one that likes boba, or are you a racist one that doesn't like boba?
Are you one that fucks spiders? Apparently,
weird
we'll talk
line,
about
man.
that line. Yeah, but like I showed you a trailer of this movie a little while ago.
Did you show it to me? I thought my partner showed it to me.
Yeah, maybe your partner showed it to you first, but then I think I reiterated it because I kind of knew this was coming because I think I read somewhere about Adele Lim writing like a sex comedy. And before going into this movie and from watching the trailer, like I was ready to like fucking shit on this movie. Like I thought I was going to have like this really strong visceral like this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
This is one of those movies where like my initial reaction to the trailer is like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. But also in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should probably try to keep an open mind, because just hating on it upon watching this trailer makes me seem like both anti-feminist and anti-Asian, I guess.
Anti-Asian.
So I didn't want to be anti, I guess. So I tried to come in with an open mind, even though like viscerally, my visceral reaction was like, I don't like this.
It did look good. Like
it's not our kind of humor for starters.
Yeah, not really. I think we kind of grew out of this kind of movie, but like, I mean, when I was looking at the people behind it, you know, it's a Point Grey production, so there's like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
Okay.
So they're like popular fame for like, you know, Superbad, and a lot of those like earlier sex comedies, and Pineapple Express, and This Is the End, which all movies I really enjoyed. But I think I kind of got over that humor maybe when I think I watched Step Brothers for the first time like 15 years ago. So I think along with romantic comedies, I am not really a big fan of the sex comedy.
I think if you rewatched Superbad today, you would probably have a different reaction to it.
I enjoyed it when I watched it in the theater like 15 years ago, but yeah, like, I mean, we're all older, and you kind of grow out of it, you know. I'm not like a really big fan of, I guess it's kind of like described as like obnoxious frat boy humor.
Because you didn't like American Pie, right? And
yeah, I mean, I think I pretended to like it back then.
Yeah, because it was cool.
And like I found, you know, I thought Shannon Elizabeth was very attractive, you know, of course, back then as well. But yeah, no, I don't think I really liked any of. I've only seen American Pie 1, and I think I've seen 2, but I think I've kind of just banished it from my mind. I don't remember anything. But like, those were quite, I mean, they brought back the sex comedy, because I think if you talk about like this, I think it was in the 70s or 80s where Porky's came out, or even Revenge of the Nerds. Like that's like probably some of the earlier traced like sex comedies. But yeah, just not really a big fan of this kind of genre these days.
Well,
like,
when I was watching the trailer, I was hoping that they put all of the gross out humor up front, because that's kind of what gets attention, I guess. But all the while, I was kind of hoping for more of like a bridesmaid tone, rather than like like a I don't know, Hangover, I guess, because Hangover is pretty garbage stuff. But I quite like Bridesmaids.
I'm not a big fan of that. I liked the first Hangover when I first saw it years ago, but it's not really a series that I revisit. And I like just thinking now, I said I'm not a fan of romantic or sex comedies, so do I just not like comedies? I like comedies. It's like, I've got a
dark comedies.
I've got a really weird sense of humor.
You like Beau is Afraid? That's a comedy, right?
It's a very, my sense of humor tends to lean on the very surrealistic, cynical kind of humor that like borders on like tragedy as well. I'm a snob, you know. That's me. Yeah,
that or stoner humor. Stoner humor is timeless.
That's true. But when I watched this movie, I surprisingly didn't hate it.
Are we doing non-spoilers then spoilers, or because
we should do that.
I think I enjoyed maybe the last 20 minutes of this film. So if we're doing non-spoilers, the non-spoiler section will probably be quite negative, whereas the spoiler section will probably be a bit more positive.
Okay, yeah.
Just a little asterisk there for our listeners.
I wonder if you had more of a negative reaction, because you were telling me like, Tavi, man, keep an open mind when you watch this movie, because I was just like, oh fuck, I'm gonna spend $16 to go watch this like shit movie because we have to talk about it on a podcast, because there's some discourse, because it has Asians, and I'm a racist if I don't watch this movie.
You are a racist if you don't watch this movie, Tavi. So yeah, I mean, like I did watch it before you, right? And I was trying to kind of like not not give
we didn't talk about it.
Not skew your perception of this film, I guess, is what I was trying to do. So, but yeah, what was your initial reaction to watching this film?
The first act of this movie, I wanted to walk out. I was like, oh, I didn't find any of the humor in this movie funny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I laughed once. Maybe there are some parts I thought were funny when the kid gets kicked in the face from a girl that is like on the swings. But like the movie suffered from all the kind of Adele Lim tropes that I hated from Crazy Rich Asians. It's like the non-stop like references to Asian things. It was just so on the nose. Just like, oh yeah, I love watching like the characters are all watching Chinese drama, or they all got these like weird like fucking hand cat things, and like there's like this kind of like and even in the first scene where the I think it's the Chen family are moved to whatever, the white hole. No, it's called White Hill.
White
like,
suburbia. Whatever.
White suburbia, White Hill. It's not very subtle. But like, it's
Whatever.
whatever.
I hated the first scene. The very first scene of this movie. I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be one of these things. And this is in the trailer as well. So it's kind of, like, we were already primed for it. But yeah, basically, like, the Asian family comes to this white suburban town and they're like, fuck, there's so many white people here. Yeah, we don't like white people or whatever because we're Asian and we don't fit in with these people. And then it's kind of like...
where like Audrey, her parents come up to the Chens and it's like, oh, I want my daughter to play. And it's like, why do you want to play with my daughter? It just seems like no one is really that hostile, man. You know, it's just like, it's only hostile to like for the movie's sake. And it just felt like cringe. Because I mean, like you and I have talked about a lot of the really welcoming like white people in our lives, you know.
Sure.
And no one back then is going to be like, oh, why do you want to talk to my daughter?
And it's kind of like these,
it's like,
these are not like fresh off the boat Asian people either. These are people that have lived in like California or something. They're accustomed to white people. So I don't really get why they're so like hostile, defensive, you know?
It happens in the start of Crazy Rich Asians as well. And I think it's just I think Adele just likes to write those kind of scenes.
I feel like, I don't know if this is intentional, but my takeaway from this movie is that Asians are racist.
I think that is a little bit intentional.
Okay,
because like Asians are pretty racist, man.
Yeah.
See, the thing about this movie, it is pretty Asian. Like, I mean, like the movie won't let go of it, you know, like that it's Asian.
Yeah.
I mean, there's K-pop in there.
And that is the commercial appeal of it as well, to be fair. Like when we watched the trailer, we watched it while we were like on Discord, right? And then we made the mistake of going into the YouTube comment section about this trailer.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow,
I mean,
what does it say?
To be fair, there was a lot of love for like the talent behind it. So Stephanie Hsu, Ashley Park, you know, like that, and they are talented. So give them some love. But like a lot of comments were about like representation. It's just like it's great to see like, Asians in movies again. Yeah, you know, all that stuff.
I mean, like, look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, man. Like, it's 91%, and a lot of it is like representation sandwich. It's like, I mean, there's got to be more than representation, you know. I mean, like, there's already a much better like piece of media that is out this year under Beef, which is like much better than this. And maybe maybe you and I just relate more to that. But like that's Beef does it in a much more subtle way than this movie. But it's two different styles.
Even Past Lives, which I've watched recently, is
Oh, you watched Past Lives? Oh yeah, I'm about to watch that. Yeah, next month.
Yeah, we'll probably cover it.
Episode of that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
with probably a bit more enjoyment than this, but
yeah, I think so. But yeah, like after that scene, it was just a slog of just like bad jokes, bad. Just like the thing is, you're talking about the talent of the actors. I don't think anyone actually does a bad job in this movie.
No, I would agree with that 100%.
I just I think it's just not our kind of film. And like, we are two Asian dudes millennial Asian dudes, you know. So we've
Yeah,
got
we're fucking jaded as fuck, man.
Yeah,
Like,
we're pretty jaded. So
and it's too fast. This movie was too fast. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much happening so
93
quickly.
minutes,
It blew my millennial mind. Couldn't keep up with it.
Actually, who was in your theater? Because when I was there, like I was initially thought I was going to be by myself because I caught a late screening of this.
It was me and two white guys.
Oh, two white guys. It's interesting. It was me and two white girls.
Okay,
two white girls. And
Were they laughing?
I heard a few. Yeah, I heard a few laughs from them, and this is like,
My guys were laughing
maybe they
too.
thought it was funny. Yeah, I didn't laugh. I sat there with my
I
popcorn.
mean, did you watch it alone?
I watched it alone.
I watched it alone too, and maybe that's not the right way to go about it. To be honest, maybe this is like a better group viewing movie because that's happened
maybe.
before in the past,
these...
right? It's like we watch something alone and it's not great, but then you try to watch a Singles Inferno again and with a group, and it's a lot better.
Yeah. I don't know if a group would make this.
Maybe the right group.
I mean, the thing is, it's like some people might say, like, "Oh, you guys are just dudes and don't get like women's stuff." It's like I think I've seen a few like female-centric things that I find quite funny.
This is basically
of
Bridesmaids, and I liked Bridesmaids, but it's not as good as Bridesmaids somehow.
Yeah. Do you watch the Korean movie called Sunny?
No.
It's a pretty old movie. It's like 12 years old now. It's just about like these group of girls who they're like in their 40s and one of their friends is dying of cancer. They all kind of go visit her, and then the story is like told going back to when they met as kids in high school, and then back and forth between like, you know, becoming friends again. And I find that movie really funny. There's this I can't quite describe the humor, but it's also like a very has a very strong emotional core, and it gets quite like dark at some points. I'm not talking like Beau is Afraid dark, but it's more like there's some pretty like heavy stuff in there. Where I think like going back to Joyride, there is actually some heart in this movie.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, once you get past the first act of the movie, where that's basically all the humor, there is a shift. And
The first act goes on for so long, though.
There's a shift, and I was like, all right, I actually don't mind some of this film. I was like, okay, there is like a message, you know, there's some heart to here. There's some scenes where like, when the movie is not trying to be funny or trying to gross you out, I liked some of it. Surprisingly, I was really surprised. I was like, oh, I don't hate this movie.
I will not lie. I teared up at a point in this movie. And I never fucking tear up in movies, Tari. So
you teared up? What the hell?
I know.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm very curious. I didn't
I
tear
don't know if there was something wrong with me that day, but this movie got me, and I was really surprised when it happened.
I'm actually quite interested to hear this. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably have to save it for the spoiler section. Well, we definitely have to save it for the spoiler section. But like, yeah, you're right. Like the first hour of it was hard. It was a tough watch for me. I mean, it is kind of like, it is not our humor. And like the first hour is pretty much all humor or attempts at humor. And I think that's probably the issue at play. Because like I said, like both of us said, I think the talent behind it is quite good. I particularly like Stephanie Hsu's portrayal of this character that's really repressed and kind of like she's got this really cool like kind of eye twitchy like anger, but she's like hiding that anger kind of face, which I quite enjoyed. I mean Lolo was fun as well. She plays kind of like this sex positive artist, kind of like the mooching friend of Ashley Park's
she makes
Audrey.
like a dick like diagram. What are those things called again? Dioramas or something of like the playground they used to go to, but it's made of dicks.
I mean, she was a bit extra. In terms of like how sex positive she was, I guess.
I think the movie is maybe trying to compensate too much about the sex positive stuff, like because Asians traditionally in media I mean, I'm not going to say not sex positive, but we don't really talk about it too much.
Sure. I didn't mind it as a theme. But I think maybe, like her character representation of the other side of that coin was a bit too much, maybe. Or maybe not subtle enough.
I think so, yeah. Not subtle enough. And again, I don't think she does a bad job either. I think I just didn't really like her. There was Deadeye as well.
I enjoyed Deadeye.
I'm not sure how I feel about her character. It's kind of like I like the idea of her character, and like I get there were some points where she's trying to be funny, but I was just never really on board with it, and she doesn't really have much of a closure. Like there's a scene between
her arc is like she doesn't have friends. She doesn't have real friends, but then she does have real friends. That's pretty much
like
her arc.
Out of all the characters in this film, I probably would relate with Deadeye the most.
Because she's an awkward weirdo.
And obsessed with K-pop, but not BTS. Man, so many fucking BTS references in this movie. And that's the thing. It's just like BTS this, BTS that. I'm like, man, I don't think, not that many people listen to BTS anymore.
No, but it's good for SEO, Tavi. It's good for search engine optimization. So, you got to chuck it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
In fact, we should probably say BTS more in this episode so it does well. BTS.
Yeah, Lord BTS. BTS. Apparently, like, Jungkook was released from the army and he had a, like, concert coming up and, like, there was like a dead body in the river near one of them that the cops found recently or something.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, quite grim. Yep, there we go. SEO, search that up.
BTS.
Dead bodies. BTS. Wow, BTS, amazing. But yeah, I just like, if you're gonna talk about K-pop, like why don't you talk about some other? Like there was no other mention
they
of
missed
other.
an opportunity to be a bit more specific, huh?
It was just BTS, and it was just like it's so obvious, you know. That's
so
the
generic.
thing. Like a lot of this movie with its Asian-ness to it is like really generic, you know. Like it's just I just didn't like it.
It's like a cursory Google search of Asian things, and then just put it in.
See, the thing is, like, I think this is very much like, I mean, I've only seen 3 movies that Adele Lim. I mean, this is her debut directing this movie, but I've seen Crazy Rich Asians, of course, and what was the Raya and the Last Dragon?
Oh yeah, I don't remember anything from that film.
I think this movie is her at her most genuine. Like her vision is genuine.
Okay,
and I'm sure she's a really like nice person, but I just don't like this bitch. And I don't really like her storytelling style. Yeah. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, but oh well. I mean, like, that's my opinion, you know? That's how I felt, yeah.
I don't know. I think there are glimpses of really personal storytelling within her bodies of works. But it's kind of like swamped by a lot of kind of commercial aspects.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know what you mean.
To the point where it's almost drowned out. But like that
it's drowned out by genre rules. Yeah, it's like it has to be a rom-com. This has to be a sex comedy.
I guess she is playing the hand that she's dealt. Like all Asian talent in Hollywood is playing the hand that they're dealt at this point in time, right?
Yeah.
So I can't really blame her for doing that. But of course, like with any movie, there's bound to be like studio interference as well. Like, can you put a bit more BTS in this film? Can you put a bit more Berber references in this film? Yeah, I mean, it's just like, but like the personal elements of not just this film, but like Crazy Rich Asians as well. It's got some fucking good stuff in it. Like within all of the dreck, there are really like hard-hitting personal elements to her stories, and I think if she's kind of allowed to like let that shine through a bit more and take the spotlight.
Well, she needs to do a A24 production for that to happen. I mean,
but she's not really about that, eh?
yeah. She wants the money. But like, I forgot who wrote Beef, but I think it was a Korean guy. Like when I watched Beef, that felt like quite a personal story. You know, it didn't feel like there was much interference. Like I felt like a lot of. It felt like genuine, you know? And I guess, like, as I was saying, this movie is genuine as well. But, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like, there's a corporate aspect to it and there's a structure as well. Like there were actually some twists that I like that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But there is that typical, like, you know, they're going to argue and like hate each other at a point and then they're going to come back together. Yeah, I mean, you knew that just happens in all these kind of friendship.
Yeah.
And you knew there's going to be like a dumb decision that has to like put them into conflict, which is the scene with the white girl on the train who is clearly like, you know, a fucking junkie. Yeah. But I think that was like the point of that scene is like, Ashley Park is kind of a little bit racist to herself.
Yeah.
But there's a scene in China. They go to meet Deadeye's family, which I liked that section a little bit. Like there's a really nice, I think I said it before, but there's actually quite a nice conversation between like Audrey and Deadeye, like that I was like, oh, okay, like maybe the movie is like kind of changing me a bit, and the bit where like, you know, I think Audrey's kind of like trying on like some traditional dresses and stuff, and they say like, yeah, like it looks good on you for someone who's like never been back home. And it's like there's kind of like a not so subtle message, but I like the message. Like I dare say that I like the story of this film. I just don't like the way it was told.
And for all its flaws, like the thematic elements follow through. Like they stick to them pretty well. Like the themes of like like what's it called when Asian is racist towards Asians? Self-hating, I guess.
Racists?
That.
Like, there's a lot of like truths to it, like.
And Asians being racist against other Asians.
Against against Japanese and Korean. Yeah, there's definitely a message in that, which is like you and I as Asians and with Asian friends from all nationalities. Yeah. It's pretty true, man. It's not like, it's
all of the themes are true in this film. Like the whole like Audrey's dilemma of not being Asian enough and not being white enough is like that rung true, because like
it's true.
I mean, like I don't know any adopted people, but like I know a few half Asian people that feel exactly that way, right?
Yeah. I think like I agree with all of the themes in this film, but it was too much. Like for me, a little bit. It's like this might sound mean, but it's a little bit like get over it kind of thing. Like, you know, like it's for me, like, you and I have had that struggle of like whether or not we felt Asian enough or whatever. But honestly, these days, like, I don't really care about it that much anymore.
No, but this is a story that they're trying to tell. This is a viewpoint they're trying to put forth. But like my issue is that there was too much forced humor, which I don't think landed for me personally. Like some of it did. Some of it I chuckled a bit. Like Ronnie Chen was fun, I feel like.
I don't know about... I'm not sure if I like Ronnie Chen that much, to be honest.
I like him as corporate guy. I enjoyed him in Mithrigan, you know? Like, I feel like he fits in really well as Asian corporate guy.
As Asian corporate guy. He kind of does that pretty well. Yeah. But like, I think if you are like an Asian female and you like this more raunchier humor, I think you'd really like this movie. Like, I think it's this movie is not made for us, you know? So I think like it probably is a little bit unfair that you and I don't think we're shitting on this movie, but we clearly are. But like it's definitely not for you and me. And like at the end of the day, I still don't like this movie, but it's better than Crazy Rich Asians. And I'm going to say a lot better than Crazy Rich Asians. It does serve like a purpose. I think it's better than Crazy Rich Asians because I do like the characters a lot more. Like these characters are a lot more relatable to me. Like I don't like shining a spotlight on like the 1% and then glorifying it and then have that be called like the kind of milestone of Asian cinema. If this movie came out in 2018 and was called a milestone, then I wouldn't mind it as much because it is actually, this movie is actually really different. But like, you know, steps are never like, steps towards evolution are never like instant, you know, there's always a gradual build.
Yeah.
Or you always got to like do something shit first,
That's
to
right.
kind
You
of figure it
gotta
out.
get through the Crazy Rich Asian era of Asian cinema to get to like a Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, or a Beef, or Past Lives, which I haven't seen, but I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, and we're in that era now, Tavi. So like, Crazy Rich Asians walked so that Past Lives could run, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we get films like this every now and then, and if it entertains a certain demographic of people, then props to it. And I do have nice things to say about this film in the spoiler section.
Yeah. do we just want to get it? Do we just want to get into the spoiler section?
Yeah,
like,
let's do it.
Do you have any final thoughts before we spoil the shit out of this movie?
Yeah, I didn't like the first hour of it, but I quite liked the last maybe 20 minutes of it. So I don't know if it was worth it getting to that point, but yeah, it is what it is. I've seen it. It's fine.
The movie that made Dan tear up.
Yes,
Very
the movie
interesting.
that made Dan tear up was Joy.
Out of all the really emotionally strong core films that are significantly better than this movie, it was this one.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, like, what was the scene? Like,
It was
spoilers now.
So eventually, Audrey goes on a mission to track down her birth mother. That takes her to a Chinese adoption agency, which actually leads to the revelation that actually no, her mum was Korean. So her mum was came from Korea to give birth in China, and put Audrey up for adoption, which was common practice, I guess, back in those days.
Yeah.
Which maybe we'll circle back to that. But yeah, the part that made me cry was when Audrey
I think I know.
finally finds her birth mum and finds out that she's passed away. And then she goes to visit the grave of her birth mum, and then Daniel Day Kim finds her. So Daniel Day Kim, I was very relieved to see Daniel Day Kim. I'm always relieved to see Daniel Day Kim, to be honest.
He's got a pretty relaxing face. Yeah. Smooth guy.
Just a very soothing presence.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, he plays Audrey's birth mother's husband. So husband after she had given birth to Audrey. So not her dad, not her maternal dad, but yeah. So he takes her back to his place and he shows her a video from her birth mother addressed to Audrey. And it's kind of like the birth mother expressing like her regret and not being a part of Audrey's life. But like kind of still saying goodbye to her because she's like, she knows she's going to pass away because of illness. So she's prepared this video message. And that video made me tear up, Tavi. Just the I don't know. It was kind of the regret, I guess, and like Audrey had gone through this whole mission for very selfish reasons, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's led her to this very emotional place and this very real moment where like she can't do anything about this kind of lost time and this lost relationship that she could have had with her birth mother. Because, what's done is done. Like, she's already passed away.
Yeah.
And her birth mother as well, like, the fact that she never stopped thinking about Audrey. I don't know. It's just something, I think just the way that scene was constructed and the acting on Ashley Park's part was just, like, very good. I don't know. It just hit me.
I think it's a very good scene. I've seen this trope a lot in a lot of Asian movies.
Yeah,
so
it's
this
very
is probably
tropey.
this is where, like, the more Asian aspects of this film come out because this is a very American film. Like, it's designed to appeal to Western audience, despite all the Asian stuff, it's supposed to be accessible to Westerners, and that's fine. But this is like, I think the shift was when, the crew go to Deadeye's family, and this is where the movie slowed down on the gags and almost cuts them out at this point, which was like much to my like better enjoyment. So this is where it becomes more of like that more nuanced family drama, or drama amongst like identity and all that. Whereas like, my strongest reaction to this film was during the scene where they're with a group of basketballers. They're hitchhiking with these basketball team.
Yep.
And there's like that's the scene leading up to that is like they've all had to do like copious amounts of drugs or something.
Yep.
But they're all really horny all of a sudden, And there's a really big like kind of sex orgy scene between
they meet
all
Chris Pang, the Australian.
Yeah, Chris Pang, the Australian.
He
So,
teaches his Indian friend how to fuck spiders.
Yeah, what was that line? Was that improvised or was that like? There's a really odd like line where
we could have misheard it. He might have said fight spiders, but I'm pretty sure he said fuck spiders.
This is a sex comedy, man. Why you're not going to be talking about fighting spiders? And he says, "Yeah, I taught him how to fuck spiders. It's an Australian thing." So this is like, whoa. Who's just making up these arbitrary things about Australia that we fuck spiders? I mean, sure, if you said fuck a kangaroo, okay, that makes sense. Fine. Yeah, kangaroo's the fucking Australian animal, you know. But like fucking spiders? Like
did he mean it in a sexual way, or did he mean it in like a fuck spiders kind of way? Like you don't have to be scared of spiders.
I think he's literally like means it in the literal sense of inserting your penis into a spider's orifice and making it climax.
Well, I mean, as representative Australians, anybody that's seen this movie with no context of Australia, Australians don't
fuck
don't
spiders.
have sex with spiders. It's not an Australian thing.
We are pretty normal people. I mean, like
there are spiders in Australia. There's a lot of spiders in Australia.
I mean, you can say so many things like stick your dick in a meat pie.
And I can only talk for myself here. I've never had sex with a spider. Have you?
No, I never had sex with.
Okay.
No, I mean, like I was gobsmacked. I did a double take.
I did. I wrote it down. I was like, did I just hear that right? I don't know.
What are those lines? And this is where it's like the humor in this movie is bad. Like, I'm not sure if it's objectively bad, but as you and I like don't like this kind of humor. But to me, like this was like almost like the point of no return for me. In this movie, I was like,
quite
man,
deep
like,
in the movie. This is halfway through, at least.
Yeah, I was like, as I said, I wanted to like leave the theater, but I was like, I wanted to go home and like play games on my newly acquired 4080.
Because like it hurts because like Asian representation has come a long way. There's actually quite a lot of it nowadays, but Australian representation in Hollywood is still kind of
it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like, do people see it? Like people, I mean, and I love the guy Steve Irwin, but like, do people still just see us as a bunch of Steve Irwins? Got crikey, Struth, you know, like
is that the spider?
Fucking
sexy spider.
Gotta get on there and gotta stick my dick in the spider. And it's like Steven couldn't fuck the spider properly because it wasn't in heat or something. It's like, what? And I was like, yeah, man. Like I don't know. Like I'm not sure that like. I'm not sure how Chris would have felt as an Australian saying that line, or even Ronnie. Ronnie's an Australian comedian.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what?
I don't know about that. I don't know about any of that, Tommy.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were saying about this basketball scene.
Yeah. No, that's it. That was a scene that made me like.
Oh, that was your strongest reaction.
That was my strongest reaction to the movie.
I thought you were going to talk about an emotional reaction. I guess it is an emotional reaction.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, emotionally, yeah. Like, I liked how, like, Deadeye was talking about, like, not having friends and, like, finding, like, as much on the nose as it is how she says, oh, I found, like, friendship through K-pop and online friends and stuff. Is I was like, I'm not sure if I liked that particular way of telling that like theme, but it is true. You find like you find a lot of solace like online. It's a new way of like making friends. You know, like a lot of people don't get along with people like in high school or meeting people in real life, but there's like a new way that should be embraced of making friends. And I think like that's probably the positive aspect of K-pop in this movie, even though they only talk about BTS, which is maybe it's a licensing thing, I don't know, but like they talk about a bunch of other like bands, like they make like Ashley, she talks about liking The National and Mumford & Sons, like the white, like
I'm sure
really
they could have mentioned
yeah.
other K-pop. Oh, maybe not actually. It's kind of predictive, I guess.
Yeah, there's probably that's probably I think that may be the biggest like thing. It's like, hey, you can't talk about Twice or Blackpink in this like highly eroticized
Yeah, you might be
show.
right.
But then you've got like Jenny like taking her garb off in The Idol. I mean, not completely, but being quite raunchy is what I've heard in that show. But what did you think about the? There's obviously it's in the trailer, the K-pop dance, like.
I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
I kind of,
It was
at a point, I settled into like what I was watching, and then I mean, this hit me, and I was like, yeah, it's whatever.
I honestly didn't hate it as much, but I was also like, oh, this is pretty cringe, and then like kind of changing the lyrics to like fit in with being Asian. I'm like, oh, it's pretty shit. Like, I was watching, like, oh, this is I don't know, could have just I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not really a big fan of that kind of music as well, and like, call me anti-feminist or not, but I don't really understand the empowerment factor of that song. It's just like, it's shit. I think it's just not a good song.
I mean, I'm not familiar with the original song, to be honest, so I mean, maybe that helps.
It's just like, it's just a very sexually explicit song, and there's a lot of twerking in it, so it's just like, I mean, I like, by the time that song came out, I'd grown out of that style of music, whether it was sung by like dudes or girls, you know, like I think that was my big issue with like my perception of rap music back like 10, 13 years ago. Like I used to hate like that kind of stuff. I was like, man, like Flow Rider's shit, and yeah, he's still shit, but like I'm trying to think like Lil Jon and all that. I'm just like, yeah, man, like I don't know, I can't. I mean,
it's
any
kind of like
lyrics.
the equivalent of a Fast and Furious movie, right? Like, you just kind of like, you can like it if you let yourself. Like, actually, there's a line from Deadeye that I quite liked. She says something like, "I like K-pop because it likes me back."
Yeah, actually, I do remember that line. Yeah,
I think that's probably something that resonates with a lot of like K-pop fans. It's like this kind of unconditional love you can get from like an idea, I guess, which is K-pop.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just, I was like, oh yeah, that's quite nice. I think that's good. That's good representation.
It is. No, you're right. I think K-pop was niche, you know. So there is like an element of like liking, say, Marvel comics back in the day, for example. You know, like it was kind of cool to like that stuff because everyone thought it was geeky or nerdy. So you kind of had this smaller community. But also digressing a little bit, I was when I was eating dinner today, I was watching the news, and I think they were talking about in the Melbourne International Terminal. I think Lotte is opening up a store in the airport for the duty-free section, and then it's like they talked about it being Korean and stuff, and then like the when they start the story, the opening thing is like K-pop dancers, and like as soon as Aussie media starts getting onto something, it's like makes it like less cool. Like, you know, it's like you realize. I think I've said in some earlier episodes, like, oh, why doesn't like Australian media or like cover like people who are like in K-pop? And it is actually starting to creep its way in there. And then I'm almost like, maybe I wish they hadn't talked about it, because now it's like it's starting to become like too mainstream, and it's starting to lose like it's cool, I guess. Like, you know, I mean, like K-pop isn't really a word. I wouldn't really use cool to describe it, but it's kind of like it's niche.
I think Australian
cool
media
in that sense,
plays the role of like your mum
making
and dad.
Things uncool.
Right? Like as soon as your mum and dad start saying, like referencing something, you know that it's past its expiry date.
Yeah. So I was like, I hope, it's just like, it was just really like on the nose. So Adele didn't write this, but maybe this was conceived at a point where like, a lot of people would find solace in online communities who like K-pop. It's it's a good space, you know.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, there are like glimmers of real, personal, and relatable like elements to this film.
Do you think this movie should have been longer?
No, I think it should have been shorter.
I think this movie should have less moments of trying to be funny and like explore like if you're gonna explore K-pop, they should explore like the wars between K-pop bands. You know, that's a pretty ridiculous aspect of K-pop, which is quite funny. Like if you really think about it. Because, like, it's like the same as football fans in the UK, you know? It's like the same kind of energy and love, maybe a little less violent, but if violence can be a thing, less violent. You know? But, like, it's just as crazy. So that would have been pretty fun to see.
Yeah, actually, that brings us to something that we haven't talked about really is the twist. So this whole time, Audrey thinks that she's of Chinese descent because she was adopted from China. But then when she goes to the Chinese adoption agency, they tell her that her mom was actually from Korea and came to China to give birth. So she finds out she's actually of Korean descent. So
and she's like shunned by Deadeye's family.
Immediately shunned.
Yeah, immediately shunned, yeah.
Just reinforcing that Asian racism. Yeah,
it was kind of like, I mean, I didn't feel that much from it, but it's also like, yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, there is just so much history between those three specific, like, East Asian countries, you know, and like, I mean, we probably shouldn't get into it too much because, that's a big can of worms.
It's more, like, my issue with that scene is just that it's not subtle at all, and I guess they didn't have the time. Yeah. They didn't give themselves enough time to be subtle about it.
Because this movie is only 90 minutes. It's like the shortest it can be.
Yeah, and it's so fast. Like, as long as the first act felt, it was actually quite fast. Like, it went from one thing to another, like, really fast.
I think, like, the first act, all the humor didn't really add anything to the story. It was just a series of gross out stuff. And I think, like, I don't know, I don't mind that stuff. I mean, like, I really like the movie Freddy Got Fingered, which has no story. And it is just a series of things that Tom Green does throughout the movie. But it just didn't really meld that well. Like, this fairly, like, well-intended film with some heart in it just had, like, just humor that just didn't land. It just didn't land.
I feel like they should have left themselves a bit more time for, like, the more emotional aspects of it. Like, I would have really liked to have seen them explore the Korea twist a bit more, like what that would do to they're in Korea
for like
character.
10 minutes,
You know, like,
they're not there for very long,
Because it's quite an interesting scenario where, like, your whole life you think that you are a certain race of Asian, but then you find out that you're a different race of Asian. Like, I would have liked to have explored, like, what that would do to a person's psyche. Like,
you're absolutely right.
What's the difference between Asians if you don't really identify as any of them, right? Like, because she identifies as American, and this whole time she's of Chinese descent, but then she finds out she's of Korean descent, but she doesn't really identify with either of them. So, like, I would have liked to have kind of explored, like, what kind of effect that would have on Audrey, but they don't really do that at all. She's kind of just like, fuck it, let's just go find my mum, you know?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, the movie didn't leave enough time for that to be explored, and like, I think, I would have really liked that. Like,
and like, maybe this is not the movie for that, but that's just an aspect of it that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, we're moving on. Okay.
It's just like, then it goes to the obligatory, like, I hate you scene and like such and such. But it's just, I don't know, like that scene where the mother talks to Audrey, like, it is a nice scene, but like, I've seen it before in other films.
We saw it in 20th Century Girl. Pretty similar scenes happens in that film, and I had no emotions whatsoever during that scene. But this one hit me. I don't know. Maybe it's parent stuff. Maybe there's some stuff going on. But
it happens in Sunny as well. But this trope, I don't know. This trope is used a lot in much better Asian
Maybe
films.
It was Daniel Day-Kim. Maybe he did it to me. Maybe he primed me for some tears.
But it was actually a really nice scene. And it's like, but I don't know.
I don't know if it was enough to save the film overall, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I could sit through the first hour of this film to get to that when, like, I can watch it in much better films, you know? Yeah, I didn't even, I couldn't even really think of a rating for this film. Like, what would you rate this movie?
It was fine.
Like, if you were to give it out of 5?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it was fine. Like, I think because the last part of it I enjoyed, then it left a better impression on me than it would have if, like, it ended on loads of gags, you know? Because, like, even the ending was pretty gag light. Like, once everything was kind of resolved and they were kind of tying up all the loose ends, they didn't throw in too many gags. They, like, have a nice time in Paris or whatever. And, like, the jokes that they do in Paris, they're fine. They're, like, looking at art and shit, and then they're like, is anyone hungry? And they go eat. And they go eat Chinese food. And that's fine. I think that's a palatable amount of humor for my taste. So it ended kind of like sentimental as well. So I don't know.
Do you think this movie would have been better if it was less of a sex comedy and even just like more of a how would you make this a comedy, but like I don't know, like
make
what's
it more
the
like
normal
Bridesmaids
kind of comedy?
I think because it follows a very similar progression as Bridesmaids, but with a bit more like sex humor and a bit more gross out humor, maybe a bit too much. Like there are character parallels between the characters in that movie and this movie, but
I haven't seen Bridesmaids, so I'm not I don't know. But
I mean it's like maybe just do that, I reckon, but with Asian people.
I don't know. I would just say just watch Beef instead. It's much better than this.
They're not the same.
But they're not the same, but it's better.
No argument here.
It's like it's better. Like I think Beef is just more that like surrealistic kind of dark humor that I enjoy with like quite a fair bit of feels in it as well. So I don't know, just something about like this movie and this kind of humor didn't land with me, but like I mean it probably would with some people.
Fucking 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, Tavi. So definitely has landed with some people.
The fact that this movie has a higher rating than Beau Was Afraid, I don't know about that. But like, I also understand that movie is very tailored towards a really specific kind of audience, and I'm just a fucked up person. But I mean, like, this movie is not fucked up at all, right? Like, this movie is pretty light. Yeah. I mean, like, it's got gross out humor, but none of it is like, I don't think it's really like transgressive. I think
like your mum wouldn't watch it, but like young people, but it's fine.
Yeah. But the shock from it, it's like they're doing it because you don't really see female and I'll bet Asians do this kind of stuff. But then once you get over that aspect, it's like, it's the same thing. Like, you can replace it with like, the
Amy Schumer could have made this film, and it would be equally as gross and equally as not funny. So the fact that they're Asian is kind of inconsequential. It just ties in like more to the grander story of this film, I guess. Which is what I found more enjoyable is the wider thematic elements and the more personal.
I'm just thinking like. If I was, because the biggest issue for me in this movie is the comedy, because it's not funny. So I was wondering, like, if I were to like try to
fix it,
make it better. I mean, like everyone's different, and I'll just go that weird surrealistic route, which like not everyone loves. So
I would put a post-credit scene in this film where Chris Pang's character sees a spider, and then it's kind of like that porn riff. Boom, and then like it just
like actually commit to the joke.
I don't know. Maybe they just hit us as Aussies, but that's what I would do.
In Australia, we fuck spiders. That like if they actually showed that like and commit to it,
and then the spider has a threesome with him and his Indian friend. That's funny, Tavi. It's funny.
That is funny. Yeah. That would actually be funny. But there you go. That's surrealism right there almost. Like, this weird kind of humor that probably like the target demographic that this movie is aimed at would not appreciate. So,
Okay.
Which is weird, yeah.
Which is weird.
It's pretty clear that we've run out of things to say about this movie.
All right, let's wrap it up here then. Guys, if you want to let us know what you thought about Joyride, you can get in touch with us at 2asianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at 2asianblokes. Also, Threads, if you want to... if you want to follow us and like not get anything from that platform because we never post anything on that platform, but we're there, we're on it.
I'm sure Dan will post something if someone interacts with it.
I don't know how to use it, Tavi. I don't think anybody knows how to use it at this point. It's like Twitter, but it's not. It's awful. But
just write fuck spiders. Like, do you fuck spiders?
Oh yeah,
like,
that's a good shout actually. Which spider would you fuck? And I put like different pictures of spiders on there. Each one more sexy than the previous.
I mean, just on that note, what spider would you fuck?
I think if I got to that point where I'm fucking spiders, probably want it to be one of the deadly poisonous ones, just so like everything ends, you know? Maybe a black widow. I fuck it and then it kills me.
I'd go the huntsman, like the really rough, gruff types.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the most intimate I've ever been with a spider is like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, fuck this movie. But like, I mean, like, there were points where like there'd be like huntsmans in my room at the top, and like I would be too lazy to get the brush and like put them outside. I'd just leave it alone, and then we kind of have this like deal where it's like, all right, you stay up there and eat all the bugs, and I stay down here and just do whatever in my computer. Yeah. And that's our agreement.
That's what spiders do. And then you go to sleep and it goes in your mouth and takes a shit and leaves. That's what spiders do.
Spiders aren't going to do that. Yeah. There's no reasons for spiders to do that. There's no reasons to fuck spiders. But that's my spider love.
I mean,
use that in one of the shorts.
Yeah, you always hear like the statistic of how many spiders people have eaten on average, like in a lifetime, and it's always like outrageously high. I don't know if it's true or not though. Like,
I don't really care. If I don't know about it, then that's fine.
It is fine,
whatever, man.
Yeah,
it's like getting spied on by whatever major corporation is through my phone.
That's true.
It's fine.
Yeah.
If you like recommend me good music, that's fine. Just keep listening. Doesn't matter. Not doing anything.
I mean, we are, but like that's your decision to listen in, like on all the fucked up shit we're doing. So enjoy Amazon.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that's us, guys.
This one.
We'll see you later. Fuck spiders.
All right. Yeah, fuck spiders. Yeah, cue the music. Ooh, oh my god, everyone can't wait. Oh, there we go. That's my Bonobo impersonation.